So we've got OneSTL, and I want to emphasize that St. Louis is not behind the ball when it comes to regional planning around these issues. In fact, we spent with Aaron and OneSTL, East-West Gateway, the last 3.5 years using some federal funding from HUD to come up with a plan. And he's going to talk to you about what we came up with and how we can still use that now, even until we get to the point where we start implementing some of the individual plans for cities. But there's something that exists right now that we as a region have been paid by HUD to come up with, and that was the model for what we're talking about with the new AFFH rule in the first place. As a matter of fact, we in St. Louis did it so well they used us as a template. So he's going to talk about that right now. So this is Aaron Young and OneSTL. Let's give him a hand.
Well, thanks for sticking around to the end. I'm glad you're here because I think I've got really great stuff to talk about. Don't have a lot of data. I've only got one map. I really want to talk about initiatives and collaboration. And we've been saying about people. I've heard people today say how collaboration is difficult, and it is. But through OneSTL, we have lots of collaboration going on, and I'm very proud to say that it's going on in St. Louis, and it's an opportunity for everyone here to get involved also. So, as Will said, we got a grant from HUD in 2011 to do a regional plan for sustainability. We call it the Plan for Prosperity, or Plan for Prosperous, Healthy, Vibrant St. Louis Region. And it was written under the theme of the 3 pillars of sustainability, which is equity, the environment, and what's the last one? Economy. So we want to have safe communities, we want to have a safe environment, but everyone's got to have access to that. It's got to be safe, you got to have economic development, and you got to have a clean environment for everybody. So that theme infuses this whole document. It was, East-West Gateway was only the project manager. We received the funds from HUD, but we distributed it to many organizations that helped us. And to step back a little bit, when we say a regional plan, you've seen this map earlier from Will Winters. The St. Louis region is these 8 counties in the middle of the screen. That's given to us by the federal government. Those are the counties that East-West Gateway does the regional transportation planning for. The more shaded counties up to the north are what's considered the metropolitan statistical area. So I just want to, when you say a region, there's different definitions for it, so I wanted to show you that the region we're talking about is the 8 counties, including the city of St. Louis and the collar counties right around that. And so I said, I'm with East-West Gateway. We were the project manager for the regional plan, and we are the region's designated transportation planning agency. We do planning for transportation. So when HUD came up with this grant to do a regional sustainability plan, we were really stepping out of our comfort zone. And it still really is out of a lot of people's comfort zones, and it's putting its challenges in the way for us to come up with implementation, but there's a lot of people that really care about this topic, and there's a lot of people really working hard to implement things across the region. Here were the main partners on the grant with us. As you could see in the lower right-hand corner, not all the way down in the corner, is the Equal Housing Opportunity Council. I think since they were a partner with us, that's how I got my invite today. But, but I wanted to say there was a report mentioned earlier and called the Fair Housing Equity Assessment. It was a report that we had to do as part of the grant, and it was a report that we did in St. Louis that was held up across the nation as an example of how this report should have been done. So that report is on onestl.org. It's a really important report. If you go to onestl.org, click on resources, you'll see all sorts of plans and reports that we have. But I wanted to bring that report up also because all today you've been hearing people talk about areas of opportunity and opportunity areas. Well, EHOC identified those for St. Louis region, and those are in the Fair Housing Equity Assessment. So if you want to read more about how an area of opportunity is defined, you can go to that report. The whole report is downloadable on our website, and you can read it all there. So it's not a vague concept that people are talking about. We've already done the research, and it's already documented in that Fair Housing Equity Assessment. So as a regional plan, the region is a big place. There's a lot of competing interests. We're trying to bring those together to make them collaborative interests, but the planning themes that we came up with for sustainability are, you could see them in the column, the bulleted column with collaborative, prosperous, distinctive, and inclusive is the one I've highlighted. That's the one, that's our theme area that has most of the goals and objectives related to housing. So altogether, we have 53 goals, 103 objectives, 333 strategies, and I'm going to read them to you right now. Just kidding. If you're interested in reading them yourself, they are all on onestl.org. And inclusive is the one related to housing. And so within each of these planning themes, we have goals, objectives, and strategies. You can see an excerpt of the website on the screenshot here. We also made an attempt to identify strategies that people were interested in completing or people were already working on. So we have all of these hundreds of strategies, and we also identified the organizations already working on them or interested in working on them. So that's one point of reference for you to get interested or involved. If you see a strategy in the plan that relates to something you're doing or something you're interested in, you can see the organizations that we know of right now that are working on it. The plan was adopted in 2013. We finished it in 2.5 years, which is really fast for a regional plan. I would have liked to have twice that time. The regional plan that HUD always gave us, to use an example, came out of Salt Lake City. They did a regional sustainability plan on their own back in the 90s. It took them 10 years. About 8 of the years was public engagement. So we had to do all of it in 2.5 years, so it was a really condensed schedule as far as I'm concerned. But we came up, we did it, we got all our goals and objectives, and now what this plan is doing is it's giving us a forum for collaboration. It's giving us a forum to talk about regional initiatives. And several regional initiatives are emerging that are the kind of topic area that we can talk about across jurisdictional boundaries, across rivers, across everything that have been boundaries for us in the past. One of them is green infrastructure. When I was making this presentation, I was worried that I had nothing to talk about for housing, but I'm glad I sat through the whole day and figured out how this is related to housing. It is completely related. How many times did we talk about Flint today? You know, that's not housing, but it is housing, it's water. This is, the people interested in green infrastructure want to give us clean water to eat, or not to eat, to drink and to swim in, to play in, to recreate. It's completely related, and my job now is to make the folks interested in green infrastructure realize the connection between what they're doing and housing. But also, there is several people that do recognize that already, because one of the reasons this is an initiative is because we have sewers backing up in low-income neighborhoods into their basements routinely, and it's a huge issue that's unacceptable. We know it's unacceptable, and there's lots of agencies working on it. So that's another connection between green infrastructure and housing. Regional food policy has come up big time recently. A lot of people interested in food. You can talk about housing, and food is one of those things where people talk about, you can do this, you can do that, but nothing's going to happen until this happens. Hunger is one of those. Children are hungry. Children are going to school hungry, and they can't think, they can't learn. So there's a lot of interest in the region to get a comprehensive food policy strategy in place and implemented. Community development system. I'm going to touch on this a little bit more in the past. This is a huge collaborative effort. I am not in charge of it, but I'm linked in, and I'm going to give you some more details on it in a minute. Energy, also completely related to housing. This as a regional initiative is on my list because of housing. The U.S. Green Building Council wants to apply for a national grant to establish an energy efficiency program within the region, and that's energy efficiency for low-income housing, including green roofs, more efficient heating and cooling, and doors and windows or building openings. So that's another initiative in the works. Regional resources. What we're trying to do, OneSTL is not the kind of plan that you typically see. It's not a land use plan. We don't have prescriptions. We don't have money associated with it. So we're trying to figure out how to make resources more available for the people on the ground doing work. So we're putting together the resources that we feel are appropriate right now. Well, this came up during the plan. It's called it's called the Sustainable Solutions Toolkit. And what it is, it's kind of a wiki page of sustainability topics. Actually, I'm going to briefly touch on this, and I'm going to come back and show you some screenshots so you know what I'm talking about. The second regional resource we're developing is a projects marketplace. We want to connect projects with resources. And again, I'll define this a little bit more in a minute. Last one is the OneSTL network. This is the forum for collaboration that we're building. Hundreds of people are a member of this network right now, so we're molding it and trying to figure out the best way to use the hundreds of people that we have on a mailing database. Okay, back to the toolkit. Like I said, this is a wiki page of information related to sustainability. And you can see on our webpage, we already have a topic on housing. You can see it, I have it clicked in the right-hand corner. This is a searchable database. If you click on housing and click the go button, you get a list of housing, what we're calling sustainable solutions or practical solutions. So you can see 3 of them here right now. If I do some magic editing, those are the housing-related tools that we have information on the website. There's a whole bunch of them. Do you want me to read them right now? Just kidding. Within each one of those, we have an affirmatively furthering fair housing toolkit. This came out as a result of that fair housing equity assessment. We knew it was on the pike for being a bigger thing, but this was done, this information was put on the website in 2014, so we're a little bit behind the cutting edge on the information on the website. So one of my second point of ask for you to get involved is this is a huge website. Earlier, I did a count of people. I could have given everybody in this room one of these tools to do research for me to figure out if I got the right information, and there wasn't enough people in the room. So there's only a handful of us working on it right now. So I have an open plea out there to read our toolkit. If there's useful information, use it. If we have outdated information or something not relevant, please let me know. There's links all over our website to give me information. I can, if it's really important, I could go in and update it as soon as I get that email. So as experts, I look at you all as a lot of experts on these topics. I am definitely willing to listen to your advice on improving our tools. So within each tool, we have a number of tabs. There's a general how-to tab, just background information on what affirmatively furthering fair action would be. There's planning and zoning, which would be sample codes and ordinances or ways that cities can incorporate these kinds of tools into their daily activities. Dollars and cents is the economics behind the tools. Measuring success is metrics and indicators that would be relevant. If a city wants to implement something related to these tools, they can use the metrics that we recommend for keeping track of whether it's being successful. We also have 58 metrics that we're measuring across the region. Some of the metrics that we identify in the tools meet back or are connected back to the regional indicators that we're measuring, and we're always accepting and looking for new information to make our regional indicators more accurate. Case studies are examples of where these are being successfully implemented, and the point is to give you a contact. So we don't just put case studies in here of somebody that's doing it. We want somebody available to be able to answer the questions. So we're doing a little bit more research on case studies to find somebody who's willing to be a contact to give you information if you go searching for it. And then discover more is general information. It's kind of the catch-all tab if there's something else that we need to talk about. Okay, the marketplace is brand new. I've been working on it for a year, but it's still pretty brand new. This is our effort to connect resources with projects. With a little bit of PowerPoint magic again, I magically scroll up. That's at the bottom of the screen. You can see the kinds of projects that we're putting on the marketplace. There's energy efficiency, education, housing again, who's implementing it, and the project need. This is really where it gets complex because there's a lot of different projects out there needing a lot of different things. The marketplace exists because of a search for funding. Projects can't happen without money, but people are saying, I have a project, but I don't need funding. I need research to get the funding, or I need volunteers to help me build, the house. So we kept adding what needs are for projects. So you can search, you can go on the marketplace, you could search for topic, and if they need volunteers. If you're interested in volunteering for housing, click volunteer, and then you'll see the projects that need that. The other thing that's pretty new on this under project need is grant partner. This is one of the areas where we are not succeeding in the region in collaboration and where we really need to correct our current actions. We are competing with ourselves for grants all the time, all over the country. By all over the country, I mean grants that aren't coming from the region, they're coming from foundations or from federal agencies, all from other places. Instead of collaborating and applying for the grants together, we apply for them separately. Only one will get them, and sometimes what I heard from national foundations is if they get 3 applications for one grant from one region, they say these guys aren't working together, we're throwing them all out. We want that to end. We want us to collaborate more on these regional grants. So we're going to start listing these regional grants or national grants on this website in an effort to find more people, to let people know what kind of grants we're going for, and to get us to collaborate more on attracting for on doing the applications for the funding. So this is not dividing up the pie more, this is growing the pie in St. Louis. We want to bring more resources for us to do community development. Here's my search for housing. If I clicked on housing and marketplace, there's only 4 here. So this is a growing marketplace. Here's my third ask for you as a group. If you have a project, if you are working in a community, it could be, like I said, anything. You need volunteers, you need money, you need technical assistance. You can send me your information and I could put it up on the marketplace. On the landing page, there is an application form with it, which is just a Word document, and you just type in what your project is on the Word document and you email it to me, and I put it right up on the website. So I clicked on the immigrant home, and within each of the marketplace entries, it's the same format as the toolkit. We just changed the names of the tabs. There's the background proposal, what you're asking for, the numbers, how much. Funders really want to see the numbers, because if you're asking them for a loan, they want to know that they're not giving you all of the money for the project. So if you're looking for funding, this is the place where you say, we have X amount of dollars from philanthropy, X amount of dollars from another bank. This is to list the other kinds of monies that you have arranged. Outcomes is the impact you expect it to have on the community. And of course, if you're asking for money, they need to know who to contact. So it's your personal contact, and more information is always that catch-all tab. Okay, here's a pitch for a great regional collaboration. The marketplace that I just described to you is a result of this effort. InvestSTL.org came out of the Community Builders Network and the St. Louis Regional, help me out, Laura. The CREA Association, the Community Reinvestment Act Association. InvestSTL is I can show you what it is. If you scan down, you can see what they're trying to accomplish, and here it is in a nutshell. They realize, again, we don't have enough money in the region, and it's not being directed to the right places. So what they want to do is they want to create several pools of funding availability. They want to create a pool of philanthropy, so you can apply for grants through InvestSTL. They want to create a loan pool so you can actually apply for loans through InvestSTL. So when you go to the banks, you know that's one of the other places where you can get money. And they also want to create a loan guarantee pool. So if you have a project and you're going after a bank loan, you can use InvestSTL as a guarantee for that bank loan. So they're I don't know the exact numbers yet, but this is going to be millions and millions of dollars, and all directed to community development projects. Okay, here's my OneSTL network, another big collaborative effort. We know that I just showed you some topical collaborations that people are working on. This is the support structure we're building to make those things a little bit more viable. We have the general OneSTL network, which is this guy. When we did OneSTL, we had 9 committees we had 9 committees, 250 people were sitting on those committees representing over 100 organizations. Just by that sheer number of people, it blew me away how many people were interested in sustainability and willing to get involved and talk about something beyond just what's going on in their backyard, to have that bigger kind of a a broader view of the region. So we had hundreds of people that were willing and interested in sustainability. The grant was over, the plan was adopted, we didn't want to lose them, so we rolled our committees into this OneSTL network. So we had a built-in, ready-to-go network, but it's been growing ever since. The names to the side, I don't expect you to read, but they are all of the government agencies and the nonprofits that have joined the OneSTL network and have told us they're interested in collaborating with us on OneSTL. So to dig down a little bit, we are developing a funders network. This again is in direct collaboration with InvestSTL. The InvestSTL, they want to raise millions of dollars in funds to be able to do community development projects, but particularly the philanthropy community said, well, that's all good and well, but we have a lot of philanthropies that are interested in sustainability projects, but not necessarily community development, and they still want to see what's going on. So we developed the marketplace to be a central location to come see what's going on in St. Louis, so banks, philanthropies, government agencies can take a more active role in looking at things going on in the region. Communications and engagement is, of course, is always important. We need people to find out what's going on, to find out how to get involved, and co-message is one of the big things that I think this community or this committee can have an active role in. There's a lot of people out there working on a lot of the same things, trying to get the same message out. So what can we do, again, together to get the same message out? And by co-messaging, there's also housing and energy. They're separate groups of people, separate sectors. What kind of messages can we get together and say in tandem? Evaluation team, we need somebody on the outside looking in and saying you're doing a good job. And if they don't think we're doing a good job, we want recommendations on how to change. That's the goal for the evaluation team, but there's also a lot of discussion out there about metrics and dashboards and indices. So, and we have 58 indices that we're measuring for OneSTL. There's lots of other organizations like the United Way that have their own dashboards of metrics. So we want to have some sort of coordinated effort between what people are looking at across the region and at least use OneSTL as a home dashboard so you could see where all of the other data is being recorded. Technical assistance, of course, trying to build the capacity of everyone doing work in the region. This one is, I think, my least formed one, but we have every intention of getting the right people, getting the right knowledge together to help people on the ground doing the projects develop their capacity to be more effective in their implementation. And last, the leadership network. This is a dedicated group of people that was our steering committee during the development of OneSTL. We kept them on in the center of it all. So we're going to use them as the focal point for talking about all of the other initiatives going on, so we can have those central meetings, say this is what we've learned with funding and communications and engagement and technical assistance. But with that said, these are not closed meetings. We call them networks as opposed to committees because they're all open. If you see anything here that you're interested in being a part of, you just have to email me. I could put my email back up on the screen so you could see that. If you go to onestl.org, there's comment forms all over that website. They all just come right to my inbox, so anything you say will be seen by me almost immediately. And then I mentioned those the four regional initiatives. That's open too. If there's something missing, something really that could be beneficial for the region and with having some sort of housing collaboration, we're open for that. But the point is, I don't run it. I just come to your meetings and find out what's going on and then try to make the tie-ins between housing and energy and green infrastructure to really build those cross-sector, out-of-silo collaborations. So again, is that my fifth or sixth opportunity? Anyways, that's my last opportunity for you. You can get involved with any of these by emailing me, or you can suggest actually I don't want you to suggest it. If you have an idea for an initiative, bring it to me with some ideas. I just don't, I don't want you to think I'm there ready to run a housing collaboration. I'm gonna leave it up to you because you guys are the ones on the ground doing the work. Okay, here's my recap. We have the regional initiatives I talked about. Green infrastructure, food policy, community development, and energy, and there is my OneSTL or my East-West Gateway address and onestl.org website. Great.
Thank you, Aaron. Give him a hand.